Journey to the Heartland Trio, Part 6. Nalanda, where the echoes of ancient wisdom still whisper. Nalanda lies just 40 kilometers from Rajgir. It was one of the earliest and greatest residential universities in the world, remaining a renowned center of learning for nearly 700 years, from the 5th to the 12th centuries CE. Nalanda University was founded in 427 CE by the Gupta Emperor Kumaragupta I, also known as Akraditya. His successors, Buddhagupta, Tathagatagupta, Baladitya, and Vajra established additional monasteries and temples. Significantly, during this period, many non-Buddhists also became patrons. The seals, artworks, images, and inscriptions unearthed here confirm this ecumenical atmosphere. Archaeologist Hartmut Scharf notes that sculptures of Lakshmi, Ganesha, and Durga, as well as a Shivalinga, were found at the site. In the 7th century, Harshavardhana and his successors continued to nurture this great institution. Harsha allotted the revenue of 100 villages to Nalanda, ordering that 200 families from each village contribute rice, ghee, and milk. Even rulers from Sumatra and China provided funds. Nalanda rose to fame by attracting thousands of students and scholars from across Asia, especially from China, Tibet, Korea, Japan, Persia, Indonesia, and the regions of northeastern India. Today, this once great storehouse of knowledge is an ordinary settlement where people depend on tourism for a livelihood, working as guides, e-auto drivers, shopkeepers, sculptors, and artisans. We hired an e-auto for 120 rupee per person. Raju, the driver, first took us to the craft village, where artists live, sculpt, paint, and sell their creations. The campus, adorned with domes and a Buddha statue, offered pleasant walks and souvenirs. From there, we proceeded to the Xuanzang Memorial Hall, built to honor Xuanzang, the Chinese Buddhist monk, scholar, and traveler who studied at Nalanda in the 7th century CE. Located just 1.5 km from the ancient university, the memorial reflects a blend of Indian and Chinese architectural styles and symbolizes the historical and cultural exchanges between the two civilizations. Paintings inside depict Xuanzang's long journey along the Silk Route, his years of study and teaching in India, and his scholarly contributions. China gifted many of the displayed objects and documents in 1957. The idea of the memorial was conceived that year, jointly inaugurated by Jawaharlal Nehru and Zhou Enlai, though the complex was officially opened in 2007. After visiting the memorial, we travelled through fields and ponds typical of Bihar's agricultural villages to the Tirthankar Mahavir Mandir, a white marble Jain temple housing a fully nude Digambara idol of Mahavir. When we came out, Raju and the auto were missing along with the items we purchased from the craft village. We feared he had absconded, a reflection of the general apprehension sometimes associated with Bihar. But the truth is that Bihar has changed in many places. Raju returned soon after, explaining that he had briefly gone to drop a friend nearby. Our worries dissolved. From there, we were taken to a small temple with a black Buddha idol. The place, however, seemed designed largely to extract money through pujas and rituals. I would not recommend visiting it. The narrow lanes leading to it were unpleasant, and the atmosphere was not good. Somehow, we escaped and reached the ancient Nalanda ruins, spread across a vast campus just beside the main road. Even a full day is not enough to absorb the beauty of these remains, monasteries, temples, stupas, residences, meditation halls, and classrooms standing amid red bricks, green trees, and gentle vines that seem to whisper knowledge. The site is protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The great Sariputra Stupa towers over the complex, surrounded by monasteries built with baked bricks, preserved as carefully as possible. Nalanda was known not only for Buddhist studies, but also for its wide-ranging curriculum, which included logic, metaphysics, medicine, mathematics, astronomy, grammar, and philosophy. Its teachers included eminent scholars such as Nagarjuna, Dharmapala, and Dharmakirti. The celebrated astronomer Aryabhata is also believed to have studied here. The famous library, Dharmaganja or the Treasury of Truth, consisted of 3 9-storied buildings, Ratnasagar, Ratnodadhi, and Ratnaranjaka, housing lakhs of manuscripts. The exact location of Nalanda University was rediscovered by the British archaeologist Sir Alexander Cunningham in 1861, based on the accounts of Chinese pilgrims Xuanzang and Yi Jing. Excavations in 1920-21 revealed thick layers of ash over several structures, evidence of a great fire. Although Nalanda had survived earlier attacks by the Huns in the 5th century and the Gaudas of Bengal in the 8th, it met its tragic end in 1193, when Muhammad bin Bakhtiar Khilji's army attacked and plundered it. The monasteries were destroyed and the libraries burned, reportedly for months, consuming priceless knowledge. Persian historian Minhaj-i-Siraj wrote about the destruction of the nearby Odantapuram monastery, and Tibetan sources also mention Nalanda's fall. After its destruction, many monks fled. A key surviving record is the biography of Dharmaswami, who visited Nalanda in 1234 and spent a rainy season there. He wrote that most manuscripts had been lost, and the surviving ones were taken to Nepal and later to Tibet. Nalanda was still functioning in a small way, supported by local royal families. The last head was Rahular Bhadra, over 90 years old. Fewer than 100 monks remained. Dharmaswami studied under him for 6 months. He also records how a Brahman named Jaydev was arrested and threatened with death by the Muslim army for helping the monastery by alerting Bhadra to plans of an attack. Present-day Bihar Sharif was then Odantapuram, a military camp, and monks were fleeing en masse. Scholars such as Johann Elverskog note that even in the 13th century, small-scale academic activity persisted at Nalanda. Records suggest that monks from Nalanda visited Kublai Khan's court. Buddhist scholarship may have continued here even into the 17th century. Nalanda was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2016. Xuanzang visited India between 630 and 643 CE and stayed at Nalanda from 637 to 642 CE. He adopted the name Mokshadeva and studied yoga under Labhadra, the university's head. Along with Buddhist philosophy, he mastered grammar, logic, and Sanskrit. Xuanzang wrote that the Nalanda complex was enclosed by a stone wall with a grand entrance leading to the main college. 8 halls stood in the middle, surrounded by richly decorated towers and steep-roofed buildings that seemed like something out of a fairy tale. In the morning mist, the upper chambers and rooftops alone would be visible. He returned to China with 657 Sanskrit manuscripts, of which he personally translated 75, and 520 boxes of other materials transported by 20 horses. Many scholars from China and Korea followed. The most notable was Yi Jing, who arrived in 673 CE and stayed for 10 years. Upon returning in 695, he took 400 Sanskrit texts and 300 relics, all of which were later translated. Yi Jing recorded Nalanda's monastic rules in great detail. According to him, there were 8 monasteries with 300 rooms each, 10 large ponds, and an orderly daily routine that began with the ringing of a bell. Bathing after meals was prohibited. From Korea, Gyeomik, Hyeonjo, Hyeryun, and Neogak came to Nalanda. History says that Hyeon died here. From Tibet came Thonmi Sambhota, who studied Sanskrit and grammar and later reconstructed the Tibetan script, influencing the Tibetan king's conversion to Buddhism. Under the Pala dynasty 8 to 12th centuries, Nalanda received strong royal patronage. During this period, Vajrayana Buddhism gained prominence, and many scholarly monks migrated to Jagdadla, Odantapuri, Sompura, and Vikramshila. Yet Dharmapala and Devpala, the most prominent Pala kings, continued to support Nalanda. A Sumatran king also built a monastery here. Students from Java, Thailand, Indonesia, and Myanmar studied during this period. In 1204, Nalanda's last great scholar-ruler, Kyasribhadra of Kashmir, departed for Tibet at the invitation of Tropu Lotsava, carrying manuscripts and accompanied by scholars such as Jayadatta, Vibhuti Chandra, Dhanasila, Sanghashri, Gupta, Mahabodhi, and Kalachandra. In 1436, Tibetan scholar Rongtong Sheza Kantrig founded a Nalanda monastery in Tibet. The Dalai Lama often speaks of the unbroken Nalanda lineage, which includes 17 great gurus. Records also state that Filipino and East Asian monks such as Dhyanbhadra in the 14th century studied here, showing that Nalanda's intellectual legacy survived far longer than commonly believed. By the time we left Nalanda that evening, the air was still resonating with the weight of centuries. With a quiet sadness for the lost glory of an age when knowledge shone brightly here, we travelled back to Varanasi via Patna, arriving late in the night. The next morning, we would begin our journey to Prayagraj, the site of the Mahakumbh Mela. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you.